Janie. Who wants to start?
Oh,
Thank you.
what was this? Can you just explain what this last week was like for you and the team, just emotionally, everything? Such an unusual week, obviously.
It's hard to describe the week. Heartbreaking, devastating. It's just the saddest thing I've ever been a part of in the NBA. Where we lose someone who's so close to us, and then more importantly, seeing his family suffer. So this last week last 5 days, I guess, has been full of all of the above: the shock, the emotion, the extreme outpouring of love from all over the world. I don't know if any of you saw. We watched as a team this morning the event that they had in Serbia. Decky's two teams were playing against each other. It just happened to be on the schedule tonight. Mega, the team he coached, versus Partizan, the team he starred for. And I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like the pregame dedication from the fans and the organizations there to Decky. It was incredible. We watched it as a team, and so I think we got a better sense of just what Decky meant to his countrymen, and of course how much he meant to us, and to Natasha and Masha and Nicola. It's been just a devastating week.
How has the organization just tried to process this and be there for each other during the past week?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's there's no handbook for this. You just try to be together. I think the overall sense is you just want to be with each other when something like this happens. You want to be with the team. You want to be with the coaches, and you want to be with Decky's family. And so all of that has been happening over the last 5 days. Not a whole lot you can say other than expressing how much you love each other, how much you loved Decky, how much this team means to us, how much we all mean to each other. We talk about perspective pretty often, here with the team, and how lucky we are to play and coach in the NBA. But of course, perspective doesn't really hit home until it hits home, and that's been a topic of discussion here the last few days. The guys are trying to get through it as best they can. Yesterday, we just had kind of open gyms so they could play pickup ball. Today we had our first practice, and we got through it, but not easy.
Steve, that alluded to my next question, which was after watching the tribute that happened in Belgrade and coming together. Just what was the mood and the energy like at practice today?
Well, we once we watched that, we took an hour before we started practice. Just to get guys right. We kind of have our golden hour every morning anyway after film, where guys are getting, into the training room and into the weight room. And so we did that, but today it felt more like just we needed an hour to process the emotion of what we watched and what our guys are all feeling, as they get back out onto the court for the first time without Decky for a practice.
And you had a really great quote in the statement that you guys put out after his passing of just the light that he brought. What's a memory or a moment that you shared with Decky that really you think just captures who he is?
Decky had an amazing way of being very direct and honest, without threatening anyone, and sometimes those coaches meetings can get contentious. We all have different ideas, and he always just had a gleam in his eye and a laugh, even when he was challenging us, especially when he was challenging the rest of the group. And he had a lot of great, funny sayings that he would use. Sometimes Serbian words, sometimes just kind of his English version of things. And he was just a guy who just constantly saw the good in people and the joy in life. And how could you not embrace and love that every day when you're coming into a season that goes from 7 to 9 months? That's exactly the kind of person I want to be with every day. And, Decky was that guy for everybody.
Steve, as the coach who's kind of, you got to lead this thing, but that's obviously a personal loss for you too. Like, how did you transition, or if you did at all, from somebody who's mourning to somebody who's got to lead, and be there for your assistant coaches and your players? Like, how does that work when you're the guy everybody's going to look to lead in this situation?
I think it just comes with the territory. If you're if you're leading a group of people, and that's literally your job as a coach, then I think you automatically want to take care of everybody and look after them and make sure the right things are happening. And so I give a lot of credit to Rick Celebrini. We were all together in the restaurant that night, and Rick's one of our leaders. He's an incredible leader of men, and Rick was there every step of the way, and something that I'll never forget is seeing Rick's leadership and the way he looked after Decky and looked after everybody. Rick's an amazing human being.
Steve, the NBA schedule can be relentless. Before Decky passed, you guys had a 4-day stretch on the schedule between games, and then the league recognized the magnitude of what you're going through by postponing the 2 games. How has it been having this time to mourn and regroup?
Well, we needed it, and I want to thank the NBA, Adam Silver, for postponing those 2 games. There's no way any of us could have walked out onto a court and played a basketball game either Wednesday or Friday. So I want to thank Adam and the Mavericks and the Jazz, because those games will be made up and it will complicate the schedule for them. So I want to thank everybody. I also want to thank the University of Utah, every single person who we came across, that night, the night of Decky's heart attack. It was just incredible. The care that they gave Decky and gave to all of us was amazing. And if any of their staff is watching, I want to say a sincere thank you. They were remarkable. But for us, it's everybody on our team, everybody in our organization is traumatized. It's part of life is you experience loss. Everyone is going to experience loss at some point in their life. But it doesn't often happen in front of you. It doesn't often happen to someone with kids, and it doesn't happen often where it's someone who is so beloved worldwide. So everything that's happened over the last 5 days has been just jarring, just incredibly emotional, powerful, and more than anything, heartbreaking. I think we said in our statement that we are grieving with and for Natasha and Masha and Nicola, because you know, our lives are all affected by this. Their lives are affected dramatically more than anyone's forever. And that's not an easy thing to process.
Steve, you kind of just touched on something I was going to ask you, and that's this happened in front of you guys, and some of your young players maybe have never lost someone.
Yeah.
Maybe others, older people, haven't lost someone yet. But how do you support them with outside help if that's needed? Has there been some
Yeah.
counseling service?
Yes.
In
Yes,
here in
that's-
the
we
in here
are-
in the building, groups, individuals.
We are making counseling available to everyone in the organization, and in particular those who were at the restaurant, and that's something that will be crucial, you know, moving forward. Everyone processes grief a different way, and we have to attend to everybody's needs, and we will do so.
And not everybody was there.
Not everyone was there. I want to say maybe 5 players, not all the coaches, but a lot of them, and various other staff members. So I don't know what the traveling, you know, what the total number of people who were there at dinner is, but you know, it was a lot of people, and it's a pretty terrible thing to witness. Yeah.
Coach, how does, and this affects everyone, but particularly the players he worked closely with, Loon is one of them. How are they handling all of this?
Players are doing as well as possible. You know, there are several guys who Decky was extremely close with. You know, Loon for sure. Dario was an absolute superstar the last 4 or 5 days. Superstar. The way he looked after Natasha and Decky's family, and continues to do so day after day. You know, he knew Decky better than any of us, and he's suffering right now, but also caring for Decky's family. Loon and Decky were extremely close. Draymond and Decky really close. Everybody was close. Everybody was close with Decky. It was impossible not to be, you know, the way he treated everyone.
You mentioned how important it was to have those 2 games postponed. At this point, I mean, how do you flip the page and turn to Wednesday, and what do you expect those emotions to be like on Wednesday night?
Wednesday will be unbelievably emotional for our players, for our organization, for our fans, for Decky's family. There's, like I said, there's no handbook for this. We will honor Decky the best way we know. Wednesday night, we'll be there to play a basketball game. We will find a way to mourn and grieve and play all in the same evening.
Steve, my sincere condolences. I think when we heard the news, a lot of us that may have already lost a parent immediately think about our own experiences. And knowing you've had that experience as well, I'm curious, how much did your own personal experience when you were talking to Natasha and Nicola and Masha come into how you consoled them and how you spoke with them?
Yeah, I just, you know, I obviously will keep all those conversations private, but, you know, I think anybody who has been through extreme severe loss can automatically relate, you know. I lost my dad when I was 18, and so I literally knew exactly how Masha and Nicola were feeling, exactly. You know, it's kind of crazy, but Friday was the 40th anniversary of my dad's death. 40 years, it's a long time. but it'll always be there. And for any of us who have suffered loss, loss is loss, and it's there forever. But the family has so much love around them from everywhere. I mean, I can't tell you how many texts I got from people around the league who just adored Decky, and from around the world. And watching that celebration of his life today and the crowd expressing their love for Decky was one of the most amazing things I've ever watched. If you haven't seen it, look it up and carve out 15 minutes, because it goes on and on and on. It was amazing.
Coach, my condolences. What about him that you learned in the last week, and you hope the world learned in the last week, that they could celebrate about his life on and off the court, that perhaps they didn't know before, because he wasn't a coach in the spotlight here, obviously, in Serbia, but people are learning so much more about him now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we're learning a whole lot. I think watching today, we had a real sense of the legend that he is in Serbia. We knew he was a great player, great coach, 3-time MVP of the Adriatic League. We've shown highlights of Decky before to the team, usually for humor's sake, but our players are well aware that he was a great player and a great coach. But watching today, I'm not sure we had the sense of what a legend he is in Serbia. Everything else that you guys are learning, we've known forever. Just the smile, the joy, how much he loved life, how much he loved his family, loved his players. We've felt that since day one.
Steve, I see you're wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
What did when you're putting that shirt on, what's going through your mind?
When we were on the flight back from Salt Lake on Friday morning, we were talking about how can we honor Decky, and so some of the guys had the idea of a shirt, and Brate was what Decky called everybody, brother. He called all of his fellow coaches Brate. And we wanted the heart because he was so full of love, full of joy for all of us, and vice versa. And then his nickname on the back. We're sending these shirts out to all over the league, so all the people who knew him and loved him will have these shirts as well to wear.
There was a nice ceremony before the game on Friday down in Santa Cruz. Do you know what the organization is planning for on Wednesday?
Yeah, we're planning to honor Decky and his family, but all of those plans are being worked on as we speak.
This doesn't seem like a very important question, but kind of following up on what Kendra asked earlier as to how you get going again for Wednesday. From a basketball sense, to have a 8-9 day break is so unusual.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? How does that shape what you do the next couple days to get ready?
I lean on Ron Adams for so much. Ron has been a mentor for me, obviously an amazing coach for all of our players and for our coaches. But I lean on him for wisdom, and I asked him a couple days ago. I said, how do we go on from here? What do we do? And Ron thought for a second, and he said, it's relatively simple. You ask the guys, what would Decky want us to do? And I thought about it, and I literally could picture Decky smiling and laughing and saying, you motherfuckers need to go win a basketball game, and then laughing. And that's so sorry for the language, but I just wanted to share exactly what my vision of Decky. That's exactly what he would have said with a smile on his face. He would have laughed. He would have, win or lose, still been smiling and laughing and having great suggestions as to what we could do differently. But he really embodied the spirit and the values that we try to display as a team and as an organization. We are unbelievably competitive, but joyful and compassionate to each other, and we're gonna do everything we can to win, and we're gonna enjoy life no matter what. And that's who he was, and that's how we're gonna continue.
In that spirit, yeah. In that spirit, how do you coach today and tomorrow? Do you focus more on sort of managing the emotions of your players, or at some point you have to also prepare for Atlanta, right?
I'll let you know after, because I don't know. Thank you.